Hello again, it's Noob, and every now and again I go on AliExpress just to have a look at what's available lockpick tool-wise and pick out a few things, and eventually they turn up. And this is one of them. This is an 11-in-1 lockpick tool I picked up for just over £10, although where you are and how the shipping's calculated and what time of day and date of the month it is, it all seems to affect the prices on this type of website. So please only use that as an indicative price. But what do we have here? Well, it's clearly a comb pick set. 11 comb picks all in one tool, plus a bottle opener, which is always appreciated. It's on a little keychain, although I'm not really sure why you carry one of these around on a keychain. It's one of those tools which I don't think you'd be using quite that often, that you'd need to have it on a keychain. In terms of what you get, there are comb picks of varying number of teeth, which would indicate different numbers of pins in a lock. And what is interesting is there aren't any 4-pin ones on here. They're all 5-pin and above. This one has 7 pins, this one has 7 pins, this one has 6 pins, this one has 6 pins, and all the rest seem to have 5 pins, which is interesting because the most commonly bypass lock is this master lock here, and this is a 4-pin lock. And by commonly bypass, I actually mean the lock which is probably the most known for being able to be bypassed. So yeah, this little master lock here is a 4-pin comb. It just goes in and we are open. It's really that easy to bypass. But despite being one of the most commonly known little locks to bypass, you can't use one of these. So let me just try and find one with a similar like tooth spacing and height, maybe something like this one here, and you'll see that it in theory would work, apart from the fact that that first pin doesn't actually, it sort of gets in the way. It won't allow the rest of the see that gets in the way. It won't allow the rest of the comb to go in. If I could put it in further, but then it's the same problem at the back. You need one of these to be 4 pins, and of course you could theoretically file one of these off and it would probably work very well, but then you have lost that sort of spacing and tooth height for one of these tools, and I don't know whether that would be worth it or not. So what have I found this works on? Well, let me show you. This tiny 5-tooth comb fits very nicely in this Tri-Circle 264. If I just try to get under those pins, lift up and turn, there we go, we have an open. I have another little Tri-Circle 264 with a slightly different keyway. They did make these with a number of different keyways. I have 10 of these little locks, and there are at least 4 different keyways that work. So just trying to get this to work in this one. And we got it. There you go. Bit harder. I have found that it's inconsistent as well. Some of them they work on, some of them they don't. But they do work on a range of these little 264 padlocks. I have a much bigger Tri-Circle 266 here, and I think that this should work in this as a 6-pin. And like a lot of these things, it just involves having to get up into the keyway, and there we go, got that open. So it works on this too. I have even found a comb which works in this Abus 6550. So out of my entire lock collection, these are the only padlocks that I found that this tool with 11 different tips will bypass. And you might think, well, that's not great, is it? You've used essentially 3 of the 11 tips to open up 3, maybe 4 locks if you count different keyways. But I don't think that's actually as bad as all that, because it's actually really uncommon to find locks that any set of these comb picks will bypass these days. I think there are a couple more brands in the United States that are bypassable that I don't have access to here in the UK. The most notable example, as I covered earlier, is Master Lock 140 and its many variants. that this can't pick, and this is quite a common lock, and a lock which is commonly bypassed because it's a very well known bypass for this lock. But I imagine that this set was designed for largely the Chinese market, and hence why it's more successful with these Chinese padlocks. So I can't really fault it necessarily for being a bad tool, just maybe a tool you should be aware of, that if you did get, you may have to modify one of these comb picks to be able to pick something like the Masslock 140 at your own risk, of course, because you can remove a tooth but you can never add it back on. But otherwise it does fare up surprisingly well compared to other bypass tool sets like this. So I suppose for £10, if you think it's worth it to you, it's not a huge amount of money, but just bear in mind that out of the box it doesn't bypass the Masslock 140, but it does bypass a number of other locks, and you may find many other locks that it does bypass that I just don't have or have access to. So yeah, do with that information as you will. It's quite a fun tool to play around with. I don't regret buying it, but I'll probably never use it because I have other sets of tools which I just find a bit more comfortable to use. But yeah, if you like it, I say have a think. Alright, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments about this tool, if you've bought one in the past or know a number of other locks that it might open, then do put them in the comments below. I do read them all, reply to as many as I can, and it might help other people decide whether they want this tool if you can name some other locks that you've tried that it does open. If you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe, really helps my channel out. So if you want to drop me a like, that really helps too, and I'll see you all next time.